Welcome back to another Heart to Heart with Statton. I apologize in advance if you hear any background noise. I've got the washing machine running right now. Anyways, today I'll be farming some more astral diamonds while talking about the subject of today's video. So this video is more for those who are either working their very first job they've ever had and have just started recently, or haven't gotten a job just yet but are approaching that time where they are going to start their first job. Anyways, one thing, and this is something that you are told early on, but yet it still seems to shock people when they experience this. I know it certainly did me. I had no idea what I was really getting into on my first job, and that is the drama that goes around in the workplace. Well, I'm going to give you like two or three short stories of some experiences I've had in past places I've worked at. And these are just different examples so that you prepare yourself so you know what you will come across, and it's not a matter of if but when, because these people exist in every workplace. The first story actually has to do with my very first job I ever had, and there was a guy who worked there. I couldn't tell you how old he was specifically. He looked like he could have been in his late 40s, maybe early 50s, but I think that's me stretching it a little bit. But for some reason, he had this really crabby attitude, and he certainly didn't like me for some reason. All I had to do was be around, and he would try to search for reasons to get snippy with me. Uh, Even when it came to him just doing his job, he and I had different jobs there. But anyways, his daughter actually started working there, and she graduated not too long beforehand. So this was her first job, and she was even younger than I was. Not by much, but she was younger. And she actually treated some people, especially me, like garbage. She felt like she could get snippy with me just as much as her father and would treat me like garbage. I'm not gonna lie, I was someone who let people walk all over me back then. I tried to be nice to everybody, including the people that treated me that way. I I didn't like being treated that way, but I wasn't the type that would stand up for myself back then. Which is ironic that I say that, because this actually leads up to first time I stood up for myself. Anyways, you would have to work down these thin aisles where I worked, and it would be very easy for one person to stand in another person's way. Well, I just happened to be working down one of these aisles, and as this girl, and this is after her treating me like garbage for the last month. She starts walking by, then she stands where I am waiting on me. I just I just decided to step back and let her pass. So I step back and say, "Okay, you can pass me. I'll wait." So she walks by me, then she turns around, she says, "Excuse me, but I know when to pass people, okay?" And yeah, she talked to me an awful lot like that. So after that, she had gotten on off my last nerve. That was the straw that broke the camel's back. And I did something I've never really done before. I just looked at her and I said, if this is going to be your one and only attitude toward me, then you can just shut up, all right? And when I did that, she just looked at me as if I had crossed a line. She said, "Excuse me?" Yep, she was one of those types. She was the I can treat people like crap anytime I want to, but if you treat me any less than a princess, well, that's just uncalled for. And I said, "You heard me. And she says, I'm going to report you to the supervisor. How about that? And I said, be my guest. Tell the supervisor about and nice I treated you and how you treated me this way until you pushed me over the edge. I'm sure that'll go very well for you. She apparently saw the sense in my words, because after that her eyes started nervously shifting back and forth, and then she looked at me again and she's like, oh, I guess I'm just a B word to you. I'm not going to repeat the word she used, but you know where I'm going with this. And I just looked at her like I didn't care, because she said it in such a way like she was trying to make me feel guilty. Yeah, she bullied me, but I'm the one that should feel guilty for standing up for myself, right? And let's be honest here. If she were nice to someone and they treated her the same way, she would have been more than happy to label them as such. And she said, you know what, I don't need to deal with this. So she just walked away, being hurt because I was the jerk who stood up for myself. Now, the sad part, now I can't fault her completely for that, because, I mean, you heard me mention her father before, so look who raised her. Now, bear in mind, this was years ago, so I can't say she's the same person. For that reason, I don't, and for other reasons too, because I think you should let things go. I don't hold any grudges against her or anything. I'm saying this, telling this lesson more as a teaching thing. Well, with that said, she's older now. I know what has become of her since. I don't really care to find out. It's just that there's one of two possibilities, maybe more, but I can only think of two possibilities. One, either she has grown up and matured and realized you don't treat people like that, in which case I'm happy to hear that. Or she hasn't changed, she hasn't matured, and she's become one of the Karens demanding to see everybody's managers. I don't know. The next story is where I this time was at another job I had, and this time the bully happened to be a supervisor. Yep, you're going to have to deal with those, and they have real authority, and that makes standing up to them a little more on the difficult side. But she not only gave me a hard time during the time when we were working, but she'd even get after me for stupid things that doesn't make sense. You could tell she was just trying to find reasons to bully me, which is but she would do it during break, where we would all line up to get stuff out of the vending machine. One person would grab their stuff, another person would grab their stuff after paying for it, and so on until it came to me. And when I stuck my dollar bill in, I was pushing the buttons, and I was not going slow, but she's like, hurry up, and we're all waiting. And it's like she didn't do it with anybody else. I wasn't going any slower than anybody else, but waited till I did it, and then suddenly said something. And it just got to the point where I turned around. I didn't care if I got fired. I should have cared, but I didn't at this point. And I got after her in front of everybody. I said, excuse me, I have just as much right to grab my stuff out of the vending machine that I paid for as much as anybody else. You don't like it? Hey, I'll be more. And if you want to keep on pulling this attitude, I'll have no problem taking you to human resources. Well, that got her to stop right there, and she real quick was like, I'm sorry. She knew not to mess with me after that. The point is she right there, actually those first two stories are a prime example. I never believed this until I experienced it, but you know that old saying that your parents often teach you that, hey, almost all bullies are the same. They act tough, but once you stand up to them, they crumble. Well, I kind of thought that was cheesy and I didn't believe it, but now thinking back on those two stories, I just saw how easily those two crumbled when they acted tough and everything, but as soon as I stood up to them, Boy, did it take much. Didn't take much for them to back down. Well, as now, like I said for the first story, the girl may have changed. She may have grown up and matured. I don't know. As for the other two, the supervisor and that girl's dad, well, I guess it's possible they could have changed too as time went on. However, there is that saying, can't teach old dogs new tricks. So, but at the same time, stranger things have happened. I'll keep my mind open to the possibility, but not going to hold my breath. And then you'll get the final ones, the ones who are not higher ups, but will actually think they'll carry themselves and act like they're in charge, like you answer to them in the workplace. And I've dealt with one just like that too. And once again, I chose to be patient with her, but it got to the point where she, after doing it for the umpteenth time, I stood up to her as well. I'm not going to get as detailed because it's kind of hard to get as detailed without on this last story without revealing too much information. Uh, but this person, I don't get it. Nobody else stood up to her. She bossed everybody around. Everybody would talk behind her back saying, what makes her think she's in charge? I'm the only one that told her she wasn't in charge. I don't understand that, but you have got. The point is to all three of these stories, you've got to learn to stand up for yourselves. But there is a happy medium. Don't go too extreme. During the first time I stood up for myself, I went on a power trip to where I started getting snippy with everybody. If they said something or did anything I could so much as interpret as disrespect. I went too far extreme one way, then I went too far extreme the other way. Stand up for yourself, but learn to be patient and give the others a chance because the first time they get snippy with you, they may be having a bad day. But if they keep doing it, stand up for yourself. But remember, there is a happy medium to it. You don't want to suddenly go from not standing up for yourself at all to getting downright snippy every single time something goes wrong, because then you're no better than they are. There's a happy medium. Go on the defense, but tread cautiously. That's a hard thing to do. Finding the happy medium after you just learn to stand up for yourself is very difficult, but it can be done. And just remember, when you go, no matter what job you get, every workplace you apply for, there's always going to be this type of drama. It's not a matter of if you run into these situations, it's a matter of when. So always remember that. You may find jobs you enjoy, but there's always going to be but all jobs are going to have drama. It's just remember to stand up for yourself and find that happy medium when you do so. I hope this video was helpful for all of you. Remember that if you have any requests for any subjects you would like me to touch on in these Heart to Heart with Statton videos, to either post them in the comments below, or you can always email me at therealstatton@yahoo.com. Anyways, my name is Statton. Like, share, and subscribe. And you all have yourselves a wonderful day.